Hello everyone, Rich Cavanis here from the Monthly Wisdom Program as we finish up our first two chapters for week 1 in our book, Keys to Success, the 17 Principles of Personal Achievement. This week we're going to be looking at the first two principles in the Science of Success system, definiteness of purpose and the Mastermind Alliance. So let's just jump right in and let's take a look at this first principle. The first principle is having a major definite purpose for your life. You know, Mark Twain once said, the two most important dates in our lives is the day that we were born and the day that we found out why. It's very hard to believe, but believe it or not, 98 out of 100 people today do not have a clearly defined, well thought out, definite major purpose in their life. As a matter of fact, based on my experience coaching for many years now, many people don't even know why they were even born. They don't know their purpose and their major calling in life. And the one thing that makes them feel fulfilled, the one thing that fills them up with enthusiasm, something that they do very well, and that's unique to them, that they're excited and they're passionate about. I would even say that it's the very reason for their existence and their reason for being. And most people don't know what that is. So what we learned this week, loud and clear from Napoleon Hill's 2 decades of exhaustive research, is that the starting point of all individual achievement is the adoption of a definite major purpose and a specific plan for its attainment. So let's tackle the challenge of moving you closer to knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt what your purpose of existence is, the why behind the reason for your birth. There are basically 5 components that I coach others in helping them discover their purpose or their why. It starts out with your dominant disposition, all right? What you're enthusiastic and passionate about, that's very important. Your unique proficiencies and skills that you do well. Your unique identity and your personality traits, that's important. And then finally, it all comes down through your path of life, your past and your life experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. So we're going to start out very quickly here with the dominant disposition part. This is the part that takes a little bit longer and we have to spend a little bit more time on. But to understand your dominant disposition, we're going to start by answering a key question. Do you prefer to work with your hands or do you prefer to work with your mouth? Now, I want you to really think about this and process this question. Do you tend to be a hands-on person or a person who prefers to use their brain and their words in a dominant way? I want you to process that. And then I'm going to break things into 16 major dispositions for you, separated into 2 categories, a speaking category or using your hands. So if you had a piece of paper right now, just put a line right down the middle of the paper, put hands on one side and mouth on the other, or speaking. And then we'll go through those different dispositions. So everyone is going to fall into one of these 2 categories. Primarily, you're going to have one dominant disposition that they come natural or you feel the most comfortable with. Now, if you chose using your hands, then these dispositions will apply more to you. Service, kindness, leadership, giving, mercy, compassion, faith, healing, and restoring, and hospitality. If you chose to use your mouth or speaking, you prefer to speak versus using your hands, then these dispositions will apply more to you. Teaching, coaching, leadership. Leadership works for both. Foresight, that's like someone who really likes to tell people the truth. An administrator type person, encourager, a public speaker. Discernment, knowledge, wisdom, and faith. Now, your weekly coaching application assignment is going to walk you through this process in more detail, but once you figure out your dominant disposition, the next item to look at is your enthusiasm and your passion. What is it that you get really excited about doing, and when you're doing this activity, you experience incredible joy and energy for your life? You're like in another world. It just feels so right. It's like you're living in that sweet spot of life when you participate in this activity. For me personally, just to give you an example, it's when I'm helping others improving their lives, either through coaching or teaching and writing materials. So my question to you is this: what is it for you that makes your heart skip a beat, or your energy level and enthusiasm go sky high when you participate in it? That's going to help you a lot to know what you're enthusiastic and what you're passionate about. Next, Obviously, everyone has a unique and specific skill and talent set. These tend to be more natural and free-flowing for you. So those proficiencies that you do well, not necessarily your dominant disposition, but those skills that you have that are fun and easy and more natural for you to activate. That's what we're talking about when we refer to proficiency and skills. And then we have to consider your personality and identity. We're going to cover this in a lot more detail next week. But your personality is really your greatest asset, and it encompasses everything about you: your mind, your body, and your soul. And last but not least, in helping you to understand what your why is, your purpose for being, is your path of life. This encompasses your past up to the present, and it covers the good and the bad and the ugly and then the beautiful as well. Everything about your life. As a matter of fact, many people, when they begin to see their past as a learning event and a tool to learn from, the challenges and difficulties of our past often become our story for our future. Many of my clients have their purpose spin out of their past difficulties or their trauma. So those are the 5 components of purpose. So be diligent this week and really invest in yourself in the coaching assignment. Look carefully at all 5 of these. Really spend some time going through these to help you see that your purpose and your why more clearly, and begin to walk in that, and then wrap yourself around that and live that truth for you and not anyone else. All I know is this: for everyone watching this video, this truth is for you. Your life has purpose. Your story is important. Your dreams count. Your voice matters, and you were born to make an impact. So the next area that I want to help you with, once you have your why, the reason for your existence, now you need to have a definite major purpose, something that helps you to fulfill your why, to really give your life the direction and fuel to live a purpose-driven life. Everything rises and falls on having a purpose to work towards and a plan of action to make it happen. This is truly the difference between high achievers and those living in mediocrity today. It's about living in what the science of success calls the top 2%. You see, like I mentioned before, 98 out of 100 people do not have a clearly defined, well thought out, definite major purpose in their life. 70%, as a matter of fact, if you look at the 100, this is very interesting. If you look at the 100, 70% out of the 100 wish for things. 10% take one step further by developing those wishes and desires, and then there's these 8% out there who turn their wishes and desires into hope. So if you take that group that I just talked about, those 3 different groups, it makes up 88%. And those people basically are waiting for success to happen to them, or quietly waiting for good fortune to come their way. And that just doesn't happen. And that brings us to the next group. The next group then translates their hopes into belief, and they make up about 6% out of the 100. And now we're getting down to the smallest group of minorities when it comes to personal achievement. There's a group who actually crystallizes their wishes, their desires and hopes and belief into a burning desire, something that just puts them on fire, and then finally into faith. This group makes up about 4% out of the 100. And then we arrive at the group of people that I hope and desire for you to be in. This group is referred to as the top 2%. They make out a plan of action, and they carry it out. They have strong faith, and they back it up and live each day with a positive mental attitude. They know what they want. It's a burning desire in their hearts, and they are persistent, and they never give up on their plan of action until they achieve their major definite purpose. The top 2% understand that the power of thought is the only thing which you have complete, unquestionable control over. They keep their minds fixed on their definite major purpose and on the things they want, and off of the things they don't want. So they're focusing on what they want and not what they don't want. What really makes this top 2% group such high achievers is that they understand that their subconscious minds work. They understand how it works, and therefore they tap into the power that accelerates their results and moving them towards their intended purpose. We're going to get into this much more in the coming weeks, but when you take any dominating idea, plan, or purpose, and you use repetition and autosuggestion of thought, and it's then highly emotionalized by a burning desire for its accomplishment, it's then taken over by the subconscious mind and then acts acted upon through whatever natural and logical means available. If you learn this one thing alone this month and begin to apply it to your life, this will be a game changer for you. So as we wrap up definite of purpose, I want you to think about and process a couple things, all right? I want you to understand your why for your life. I want you to have one high and desirable, outstanding goal to shoot for in your life and to keep it before you. I want you to put an action plan together and act now and take action and move forward to its accomplishment. And I want to cover here the actual steps that it's going to take as we look at something, and we're going to look at something like this, the actual steps that it takes to actually accomplish your definite major purpose. So you're going to have one desirable, gigantic goal. That's number one. Okay, so there's your goal. Number two, you're going to focus your mind on your desire. So the whole point of this is to be focused on this all the time, 24 hours a day. You want to be thinking about, how am I going to go about this? What's it going to look like? What's it going to feel like? So you want to focus your mind on your desire. Number three, what will it give you in return? So you need to really process, what's going to come back to you once you accomplish this desirable, gigantic goal? What will it give you in return? Number four, you need to set a definite date to achieve it. So what I encourage you to do is go ahead and write this desirable, gigantic goal down, and then think in your mind, when do you actually want to accomplish it? Then start at the very end of actually seeing it accomplished, and then work your way back towards, okay, what am I going to need to do along the way to make sure I get that done? So you need to set a definite date to achieve it. And then 5, you're going to create a plan of action. So again, starting with the end in mind, work your way back to the very beginning, to where you are today. What am I going to need to do? What are the action steps I'm going to have to put together to make this happen? Number 6, take action now. It's not enough to just have a plan on paper. It's not enough to even think about it every day, 24 hours a day, and then even get emotional about it, where you just feel giddy because you're walking around all the time thinking about how great it's going to be to have this one desirable, gigantic goal accomplished. You actually need to take action. You have to do it. So I'm going to encourage you to really do that. Put your plan together and then start to take action immediately. 7, read your plan morning and at night, daily. This is really important. The more that you can put this into your mind and let it seep into the subconscious mind, your mind will actually start coming up with solutions and help for you and how to get that plan accomplished. So make sure that you're reading it, keeping it before you every minute of the day if possible. It will really help you to accomplish it much faster. 8, visualize, believe, achieve. So visualize it. I want you to think about, just even close your eyes a couple times a day and just really dream about what it's going to look like to accomplish that goal. What would that look like in your mind to actually have it attained? And then believe. You need to understand that your level of faith and belief in yourself to be able to accomplish it is going to be a big factor in whether or not you're going to be able to accomplish that goal, and that you can actually do it. It's very important. It's important to set a desirable, gigantic goal. You want it to be big and just massive, but you also want to make sure that you can set it out there in front of you and that you can actually do it and attain it. That's going to be very, very important. Number 9, a positive mental attitude. You need to make sure that always you're thinking how you're going to do this. You're going to have to operate with your values in the right order. And we're going to talk about all of this as we go on, but there's things that go into a positive mental attitude: gratitude, your values, all of the things that make up how you plan your day as you get it going. But your attitude is going to be a huge part in being able to accomplish that goal. If you're constantly telling yourself, "Well, I don't think I can do this," or it looks like it's just never going to happen, you start saying those things enough, and that's what you're going to end up getting. So you just need to keep it in front of you. You need to keep speaking positively about it coming to fruition, and you need to believe. You need to make sure that you're visualizing it and believing in it. And then finally, number 10. Short, long-term goals. So that's why I'm saying you start with the end and then you work your way back. And so in that process of where you actually see yourself accomplishing it and where you are today, you're going to set some short-term and intermediate type goals along the way to make sure that it's going to help you. So and you can break it off in chunks rather than smaller chunks. rather than saying, wow, that goal is just massive. I don't know, I don't even know how to do it. If you can break it up into smaller goals, that will help you get to where you actually reach your big goal. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and go out there, make it happen, and reach your goals and your dreams. Which brings us to our next principle for this week, because nothing great is ever done without the help of others. Creating a mastermind alliance is when two or more people come together with a common purpose and destination in a spirit of cooperation and harmony. The mastermind alliance allows a person to use their full strength of the experience and training and knowledge of other people just as if it were their own. It's kind of like finding that last piece to a puzzle. When inserted, the picture is complete and whole. One of the key factors in forming your mastermind is to determine what each person is going to be receiving from this partnership. So it must be clearly spelled out in writing what benefits and rewards everyone is looking to receive from this endeavor, which is going to be a key element in keeping harmony and cohesion in the partnership. So let's review the major motivations of why people take action and make decisions about most things in their life. There's actually 10 of them. 10 basic motives for action. The first one is what we refer to as self-preservation, and I'll explain these in more detail. Number 2 is love. Number 3 is fear. 4 is sex. 5 is the desire for life after death. 6, freedom for your mind and your body. 7, anger. 8 is hate. 9 is recognition and self-expression. And number 10 is wealth. These are what we refer to as the 10 basic motives of life, which inspire all of our actions. They are the why behind everything that we do. So let me go into a little detail on each one. Self-preservation, which typically manifests itself as the desire for economic security. All right? Love is the most powerful motive known to mankind, and it's usually expressed by our labor or love of our work, the love of truth or in principles, and the love of another human being. Fear, number 3, which tends to be the number one enemy of success, which is nothing more than a state of mind. And we're going to be talking about that in the coming months. We're going to be talking a lot about that. We have a whole month we're going to be discussing fear and the different states of fear. But most fear revolves around experiencing poverty and poor health, rejection or criticism, losing love from friends and family, growing old, losing our liberty and freedom. And the big one for most people is the fear of death. Then we have number 4, which is sex. This is the physical expression and complement to love. 5, the desire for life after death. This is to perpetuate our life after we breathe our last breath. Every major religion and most people around the world, in some form or another, want to perpetuate their life after they die. They want to live on after that. The next major motive is freedom for mind and body. That's not allowing life to push us around, but to choose our own life in what we make of it. True freedom to be able to do what we want and live how we want to live. The next one is anger and hate, revenge and hate, to strike back, to get even, to allow unforgiveness to emotionally control us. This is very negative and a waste of mental energy. And if you've noticed up to this point, these are all fairly positive. Well, this one's definitely not. Number 3, number 7, and number 8 are not negative, or they are negative, I should say, basic motives. So you have to remember, just because something's a basic motivation doesn't always mean it's positive and good for us. The next motive is recognition and self-expression. The desire for self-expression and recognition, to be honored in a public way, and has to do with the concept of giving. And then finally we come to number 10, which is wealth, which is about money. It's about material things and lands and real estate and investments. The motive of wealth usually has the greatest appeal for those in a business endeavor together. That's usually the biggest thing. You know, if we have a partnership together, obviously both of them are wanting to have some kind of end game that gives them some kind of a financial or some kind of a material advantage for that. So this week for our coaching assignment, I want you to think about the why behind all your decisions and actions, to look for the motives and rewards that you expect to gain from your work and your business and your relationships and your giving That's a really interesting thing to really process, is to really analyze and really be introspective about, why do you give? What's the motive behind your giving? Is it really to get something back? Or is it truly in a spirit of complete I just want to give because that's just something I feel compelled to do? So everything else in your life revolves around one of these 10 motives. So as we wrap up the Mastermind Alliance, I want you to think about the process. I want you to process a couple things. So I'm going to go through the steps to forming your elite partnership team right now. How to form a mastermind team. Number one, you want to make sure that your team has the same purpose in mind. It will make no sense and it will not work well if you partner with somebody and you're going one way and they're going the other. You want to make sure that both of you have the same definite of purpose. You want to be moving in the same direction together. So you want your purpose to be aligned. You want to make sure that you have a plan in place and everybody knows exactly what steps you're going to be taking and how you're going to be doing that. And you want to make sure that everything is congruent. So you want the purpose and the plan and everything that you're doing in this partnership to be working together. You don't want it to be any kind of disharmony whatsoever. The second step that's going to help you with forming a mastermind team is asking the question, ability to do the job. So, for example, you may have a best friend and they're great and you love them and they're just fantastic friends, but they may not know anything or be of any help to you when it comes to the purpose that you're setting out to accomplish. So you need to find people who can actually do the job, who can actually help you and partner with you. It doesn't matter whether necessarily that your best friends, that's not actually a real key thing in this. It's, do you have a definite major purpose? Do you have a plan? Are you congruent? And can you work together? Can you do the job? That's very important. The third step in forming a mastermind team is that you have to work in harmony and there can't be any discord. Now this is key because a lot of times people will ask me, what's the difference between a mastermind alliance and teamwork? Now we're going to be talking about teamwork in coming weeks, but the biggest difference is this right here. In teamwork, you don't always have to have harmony, and there's not always going to be times when you're not going to have discord. And you're not always going to have the same, you're working through a definite major purpose together. So you can have a team kind of working together, but not everybody's on the same page. With a mastermind alliance, it never works that way. All right? It's always you're working in harmony and there's no discord whatsoever. It doesn't mean that you're not going to look at things together, you're not going to maybe have, some disagreements from time to time, but it's always focused on the purpose. That's the most important thing. You're focused on the purpose and moving in the same direction. Number 4, the fourth step, is determine rewards and motives. We just went through that. Everybody does something for a motive, right? There's a motive behind everything that we do. So you need to find out very clearly from your partner in your mastermind alliance, what do you want out of this? And then what do I want out of it? So if I'm having somebody coming in to work with me, obviously I've got something that I'm wanting from that relationship, and they're going to want the same thing. So you need to make sure you clearly spell out what's your motives and what are the rewards, and everybody knows exactly what the expectation is. And then number 5, to form a mastermind team, you need to have regular meetings. You need to have a weekly one-to-one, face-to-face phone calls. You need to have a specific time, place, all of that. It needs to be something very consistent. You can't just call once a month or visit each other once a quarter, something like that. It doesn't work. A mastermind alliance is truly going to be a partnership that stays in touch frequently. That's very, very important. So there you have it for week number 1 in our Keys to Success theme. I want to encourage you to invest in yourself with the coaching assignments each week. Make sure that you're reading the 30 minutes each day with the theme each month, and really be thinking about the principles that you're learning. Make it a healthy, wealthy, and wise day, everyone. Glad to have you here and look forward to talking to you next week.